Good meowing, guys, gals, MBs, and YouTube catters. We are back with another White Forest video. I apologize for not having the updated video last week. I have changed this deck list a lot going forward, and I really like the changes for it so far. I actually recorded a video last week talking about the changes, upcoming changes, and like changing around the ratios and what I want to do with the deck going forward. And unfortunately, I did not have any of my new cards at the time, so I didn't really like how the video came out. So I scrapped it, and so we're back now. I have all the cards available. We have a brand new White Forest deck guide to bring out. We're gonna be going over the deck list. I'll be taking this to locals later today. We'll see how it performs. We'll see how it does. So let's just get into the guide. Before we get into all of that, thank you, of course, for the support on all of the previous videos, the likes, comments, shares, all the ideas and stuff about how to take White Forest in the future, going into like more competitive scenes with White Forest. Definitely took a lot of your comments to heart. I actually found some good like forms of interaction stuff that you can do now with your lines with White Forest that I didn't think was good previously. So shout outs to the commenters. You know who you are, as we'll go over this new updated deck guide. So we'll get into the card by card because I've got to make it to locals as soon as possible. And when we get back from locals, we'll talk about how we did, how the numbers, how the ratios changed, and what we liked and disliked about this new version of the deck. But starting us off, we are going to be on the 1S Stellar. Last week I actually bumped the Stellar up to 3, and that definitely was not the way to go, I will say. A lot of my hands I was opening Stellar and Sylvie, and I definitely don't want to see both of them in an opening hand. My thought process for that was I wanted to see as many White Forest names as possible to try and go full combo, but that definitely is not the answer because this card sucks. This card is, while it does everything you possibly want in combo, it just eats every hand trap. Getting stuck with 2 normal summons in the hand is super bad, unless you like get lucky enough to open Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Maybe if you're running multiple copies of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, you could bump this card, but honestly, at 1, it's so inconsequential. It's great for grinding out if you want to search it later, like after your first turn combo. It's great for grinding games. There are some cute little lines you can do where you can search this ahead of time, tribute it for deception. A lot of the time in testing, this card wasn't even needed. On better White Forest names, we're of course on the 3LZ. You should always have 3LZ. We are actually on the 1LZ Azamina now. Last week I was on 2, and a lot of the times, and this is before I was lucky enough to get a Chorozo in my prize packs. We had a disappointing week last week where it was a 3-1, which I guess is not bad, but it was a very, very close 3-1. Like I was fighting, struggling for my life. I definitely built this deck very poorly going last week to try and test things. I had LZ 2-2. A lot of the times I was getting stuck with like Diabell Star LZ in hand with nothing able to do. Usually I was just making like SP pass because I didn't have Chorozo at the time. Spoiler alerts for the updated extra deck. But at 1, it's perfectly fine. I could see this being bumped up to 2, especially if you're going above 42 cards. But this card is being searched out all the time. You really don't want to open this card. You want to either open like LZ or Sylvie. And you can search this card in a multitude of ways. If you do it, once you do need it for your combo, whether it's Resillia, Resiliago, or just Tails of White Forest off your Sylvie. So, and then speaking of Sylvie, we are at 3 Sylvie. Of course, best normal summon in the White Forest names. And then the 1 Rusia as always to round out our White Forest names. We have 2 Tails, of course. We're running the 1 Woes for White Forest spells and traps. The 1 Scourge, which I'm surprised people are cutting this card. This card has been insane, not only as a White Forest card to pitch, to continue our combos and get our free value, but going first, not knowing what your opponent's deck on, it's a great targeted negate. Going second a few times, I have used this card to OTK with. You attack with your Diabell, Scourge, tribute your Diabell, target your Sylvie or something that you don't really care about its effects, and then immediately bring back your Diabell, attack for another 25. It's a great, it's a cute OTK going second if you need it to be. And then one Azamina Aphis and one Sinful Spoils, of course. We are on a, like, I guess you would call this pure White Forest Azamina as much as possible. So we're substituting the FIENDSMITH cards. I know the FIENDSMITH build is very strong and very competitive right now. But the interaction I get from spells and traps has been just as enjoyable, just as delightful. And it's just a different way of interacting with your opponent that some people are not prepared for. Speaking of interacting with our opponent, hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Nib, 3 Effect Veiler, and 3 Imperm. This is not going to change for a while until I get 2 more Molcharmy Fuwoses. I believe this is probably hand trap lineup you should run currently if you don't have the Fuwos to change around these numbers. For our Diabell Star package, for our wanted package, we'll talk about this now. 3 Diabell Star. So we bumped this up from 2, and it's the reason why we're running less Azamina LZ and less a Stellar. 3 Diabell Star in this deck is full combo because of this little guy, Magistus Chorozo. Chorozo is a contact fuser with 1 spellcaster monster and any type of card from our extra deck. So Diabell Star can summon itself out, set as Sinful Spoils of Deception. You'll tribute a card like a monster from your hand, so you can keep the Diabell Star around. Go Hollowed, go Yugioh. Search your LZ Azamina of the White Forest. Now you'll contact fuse your Diabell Star with your Azamina Mu Yugioh. And then it's Chorozo is a level 4 tuner. So you just special summon your Azamina LZ. Now you synchro 6, and now you're off to full White Forest combo. Chorozo fixes your hands so much, and is why we can run Diabell Star at 3, and it makes Diabell Star a 1-card starter. If uninterrupted, of course. We are on 3 wanted, because again, another 1-card starter searches out the Diabell as 3 more copies of Diabell. 1 deception, 1 hollowed. This is fine. We recycle our deception so many times. I'd still in a turn. For non-engine, we're still on the triple tactics package, the 2 thrust and 1 talents. So I saw the Birmingham list and what this deck is loosely based off of, as far as like numbers and ratios. So I saw that they cut thrust for 2 talents, and I will tell you the reason why they did that is because they are on the FIENDSMITH package, a more creature-based package, that if they get stopped, if they get stuffed by like Droll or Dimension Shifter, things like that, they can still play through with FIENDSMITH. But in this deck, since we are focusing on these spells and traps as our point of interaction, we still need to get them out of our deck. So if you're playing this version of the deck, if you're trying this version of the deck, you really need the thrusts, because once you get Drolled going first, you can just like set your woes, depending on what you get Drolled on. You can still make a 6 on their turn, you can make an 8 on their turn, and you can still basically combo on their turn to get your value, and to at least get some interaction if they do Droll you. Last spell card that we were on for non-engine is the 1 Called by the Grave, of course, for Shifter and Droll. And finally, the biggest change is now we are on 3 Black Goat Laughs. We have cut the Azurune from previous weeks and are on Black Goat Laughs now. This card is very good in the meta currently right now. First or second, you can pinch it off the Diabell Star. Now you have a form of interaction in the grave to basically negate activated effects of a named card, any named card from your opponent. This card is very good right now. I highly suggest picking up this card, and I'm excited to play with it more later today. For extra deck, we already saw one of the cards. Let's go through it real fast. We are on the one Zapper Shrimp still. This Zapper Shrimp, as soon as I can get a copy, is probably going to be Typhon. I need to make some space for Typhon in my extra deck, just as a backup plan. And this is probably looking like the final cut. We, of course, are on the 3 White Forest names. That's never going to change. And the 1 Chaos Angel to round out our synchros. For fusions, we are on the 3 Azamina names. Again, very good, very strong. Chorizo! I'm super excited to play this card finally, because I didn't have this card last week, like I said. And then our final fusion, brand new to the deck, is a Guardian Chimera. Shoutouts to the YouTube comments for letting me know about this little strategy, about using Sinful Spoils, setting Sinful Spoils as an interaction card during my opponent's turn to make Guardian Chimera to pop 2, draw 1, draw 2, pop 1. This card is cool, really cool, and I really like that idea of interaction during my opponent's turn. For links, we're still on an Artemis. The reason why I like Artemis right now, so say like you opened a Diabell Star, Effect Veiler, Ash Blossom, like Azamina LZ in your opening hand. You can go Diabell Star effect, set the Deception. If they interrupt your Deception on like pitching like the Effect Veiler or something, you can go normal summon Ash, turn the Diabell Star into Artemis, and then contact Fuse that way into the Chorizo, and now you can make your level 6 and go combo. Hopefully you have like 1 more spell and trap to send with Resilia, so you don't have to send the Deception, but yeah, you can send the Deception and then go into LZ and full combo from there. It's very janky, but I mean, again, like Chorizo, it unbreaks your hands, and that's very important. We are still on the IP Masquerena. Off the Xyz before I do it. And then finally, the newest change is to Xyz. Still on the Baguska, the Goose as plan B. But we are also on Abyss Dweller now. This card is very good in this format. Shuts down a lot of decks, especially the FIENDSMITH engine. Very, very good. It's pretty decent in the upcoming Blue Eyes structure deck as well, as they like to recur a lot from their great. But a lot of the times, if I go full combo uninterrupted, we were ending on Diabell plus Ela Sevilla plus like 3. But then we would either have like a leftover Rusia, the level 4 tuner, and Yugioh, and a lot of the times we had nothing to do with it. So what you can do is, generally, if you don't know what you're playing against, you can just make and with your Rusia overlay into Abyss Dweller now, or you can just make a Chaos Angel, depending on like what you need against your opponent. It definitely, this deck has a lot of varying inboards that I like a lot that can answer. For sideboard, our sideboard has changed quite a bit. It is still currently catered to playing like at locals and facing like off meta decks, but once we do go to like a regionals or a YCS or like higher levels of competition, where we be facing constantly more meta decks like Malice, like Raiziel, it's going to change a little bit. But for now, we're still on the 3 Lancia, because there's always 1 Malice player or 2 Malice players that show up every week no matter what. We are on 2 Droll and Lockbird still, because this just hoses like bad decks or just off meta decks can hardly play through a Droll. The newest change to our sideboard, we are actually on Triple Ultimate Slayer. This card is insane, and because of this Ultimate Slayer, we are also on a 1 Mirror Logic aggregator to send with Ultimate Slayer. I'm no longer going to drop games to jank deck plus Raiziel engine, as you just go Ultimate Slayer, send the Mirror Logical aggregator that you side in, and now you have a negate from the grave, and you've shuffled back their detonator. Ultimate Slayer is, I'm excited. Shout outs to watching YCS Birmingham for this idea. This card is insanely good in this format. Then we were on triple dimensional barrier just to shut down Xyz decks like sharks or goblins, stuff like that people show up with from time to time. 2 lightning storm for going second to take out back row and larger boards, and then the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster for more back row decks, because there's always like a lab player and stuff that shows up as well. You gotta play towards your meta. Gotta side towards your meta. Excited to try this deck. I can't wait to take this to locals. I can't wait to tell y'all how I do. Be sure to watch out for the YouTube posts. I'm gonna do my best to keep everything updated. How the rounds go, what I liked, didn't like about the deck, what I was facing, and I mean, let's go beat Blue Eyes. So we're back from locals. I'm a little tired, I'm a little drained, but if you've been following on Twitter, following on Blue Sky, following in Discord, following on the YouTube post channel page, whatever you call it, we got the 4-0, yippee, the updated White Forest list. I'm actually super happy about it. It was an interesting night. Blue Eye Structure deck has just released this week. Everyone's been excited about it. I honestly wasn't expecting to see, like, I was expecting like little Timmy, little Jimmy to show up with the Blue Eye Structure deck, or people like who haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a while to show up with the Blue Eye Structure deck, just like to try it out. I think it's a very good deck. It's super strong right now if you're looking for like a cheap option to take to locals just to like test and have fun with. But what I wasn't expecting was our top players, our top regulars, to all be on Blue Eyes as well, and actually different variants of Blue Eyes too. Like, we had 3 different Blue Eyes decks in the top 4, all with different builds. One was like the pure, I guess you call it pure, Blue Eyes Primite that I've been seeing on YouTube with the Primite engine. Another was actually Blue Eyes FIENDSMITH, doing some very cute stuff using a mirror resonator from 2017 as a level 1 light fiend tuner that you could search with the Blue Eyes cards and go into your FIENDSMITH package. Was very, very interesting. It was very cool. And then the last one was like a Blue Eyes Metamorph Red Eyes deck. That was pretty sweet as well. But yeah, they all got into top 4, but I was able to take it home and pilot with my White Forest. Let's go through all the rounds. We'll talk about it. What I liked about this deck and liked about the changes, and what really showed through this week, because this deck is so sweet. The new changes were so good. Shout outs to Black Goat Laughs, the actual goat of this format. Round 1, as typical for locals, we play like off meta. My opponent was on Scareclaw Kashtira. My poor opponent, this deck just outmatched it, just outgassed it. We lost the die roll, went second going game 1, kind of bricked going game 1. I think he was on like 50 cards too. I think it was a rough round 1 for him. So game 2, I actually opened one of our new sideboard cards in Ultimate Slayer. This card was insane all night long. I will be honest, this card was great. I opened like Effect Veiler, Imperm, Ultimate Slayer, and White Forest Azamina, and a Tails. So full combo, or full 2-card combo plus like all the interaction I could possibly want. Kind of insane. This card was insane like all night long in breaking people's boards and getting rid of problems. Round 2 was actually against Malice. That was the first round that I got to open my new favorite combo in this deck. New favorite 2-card combo of Diabellstar Starter and Black Goat Laughs. Black Goat Laughs has been actually insane this entire night. Every game I've opened this card, I've won. My opponent, he ended on Terahertz and Heart's Cryptor, and he forgot that he could chain to the Black Goat Laughs with the Heart Cryptor if he wanted to actually banish my Diabellstar, but it wouldn't really do anything because we're already like getting the search off with Diabellstar, and we don't really even need the Diabellstar in our combo because we opened White Forest. I shut off his ability to even activate the effect of the card, and I know Heart's Cryptor says, I had a judge ruling on this as well. Heart Cryptor says that the activation of the effect cannot be negated. if it's pointing to another monster. But what Black Goat Laughs does is basically turns off the ability to even activate the effect for the player. So it still gets around that ability on Heart Scripter. So this card is insanely strong. This card is very good right now in the meta. Highly recommend picking up this card. Every time I open this card, it was actually insane. Game 2, he actually elected for me to go first. Of course, I sided in my Lancias against him. Opened my Lancia. I go LZ. LZ grabs Sylvie. He drolls me on the ad of Sylvie, so I'm just like, okay. I opened Thrust in hand, and this is why Thrust is so good still in this deck. If you are playing the spell trap version of this deck, if you're playing like pure, I guess pure White Forest is what we would call it. So I was able to go, okay, Thrust, set Woes, and a normal summon Sylvie. So now I just make the 8 on your turn. Now I have my Diabell. If he activated any effects, I can Diabell summon out the Silvera to Book of Eclipse's board, so he doesn't really get too many links off. But since we opened the Lancia, my opponent was kind of cooked. It's all that fun stuff. So Woes still very strong, is a very good emergency ripcord for when. Round 3 was against Ryzeal Sharks, and again another deck that super combo heavy deck, very hard to break their boards. Going second, we were actually able to win the die roll against them. Went first, made full combo. They couldn't interact with anything. Game 3 of round 3 was more of the same, where I just went full combo again and was able to have enough interaction that he couldn't fight through everything. Round 4 was super interesting because at this time I realized I did the number crunching, I did the math. We had 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon structure decks in our top 4, and I was the last remaining Soul Bastion to fight off the Blue Eyes Menace apparently. And so I played one of the Blue Eyes decks, and it was actually like pure Blue Eyes with Primite. Unfortunately lost the die roll, so game 1 didn't open up Nibiru. All I had was Effect Veiler in perm, so I was able to keep him to just Seal's Pass, but unfortunately that was still pretty much enough. Going game 1. Game 2 got to go full combo. All he opened was an Effect Veiler, and this deck can easily fight through that. Game 3 was actually super sweet back and forth. We fought our hearts out game 3. I'll be honest, we just wanted it a little bit more because I decided going second, I sided in my Ultimate Slayers and my Lightning Storms, but it was super sweet. So I highly recommend, if you're looking to go to locals, if you're looking to play something fun and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, that Blue Eye structure deck is so very strong out of the box. But all in all, I had an amazing time. Let's get the best girl out here. I had an amazing time with this deck and with the updated changes to this deck. The change to One is Stellar never came up whatsoever. We never searched this card, I'll be honest. I never opened this card. This card was completely inconsequential. You can even cut this card if you absolutely want to. I like having White Forest names, and I like this card in the grind game and having a 13th starter if need be. So I personally wouldn't cut it, but a lot of the times, like especially going second, I was siding this card out because I didn't need, drawing 6 cards, I didn't need a 13th starter. I'd rather have like a board breaking card. And then the LZ Azamina to 1. I could see this card going up to 2. It being at 1 was never a problem. Also, with the Blue Eyes deck being so popular, people are playing Bestials with it. So if they Bestial this Azamina LZ when we try and shuffle it back into the deck to get Hollowed Azamina back, it's a little rough. It didn't happen tonight, but I could definitely see that being a line, and then that would shut us off from constantly being able to easily access our Azamina stuff, like get back our Deception. That being said, this video is going on too long. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. I'm happy I got the 4-0. We'll be continuing to update this deck. We'll be continuing to talk about White Forest in upcoming videos. and how we're progressing towards like a more competitive atmosphere. But if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this deck tech guide, if you have any suggestions, cards to try, things to try out, let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, I'll leave a like, leave a subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Thank you, of course, for watching the video, and as always, good night.